come in for Hung once again. I think it was actually a strong pick for that bottom lane. It just couldn't quite work together with everything else.
Or they might swap it around as well, say like, all right, we'll pick the Alistar and we'll pick up the Xayah as well, because again, Viper looked immaculate on that pick, and such a champion like something like Xayah has so many ways of, like, you know, getting that skill expression, getting that high level of play out there, that it becomes very, very difficult for you to try and, you know, just kind of quell down. So we see now with RA, they're going to go with the Alistar and they're going to go with the Nidalee. So foregoing their AD carry pick as of the moment.
I still like having some sort of setup for Nidalee, and obviously we do have the Renekton ban, which is usually paired on the top side, but Alistar for that bot lane means that you can go for some of these big engages, set up for Leyan in that bottom lane. So honestly, I think right now, probably going to see RA just double down on this pressure in bottom lane that they weren't quite able to capitalize on the last time, thanks to some nice plays from EDG. But EDG opting over towards the Trist, realizing, hang on a second, we need some sort of pressure on this bottom side, a little bit of safety as well if this is going to be the early game plan from RA. And we'll more than likely pair it alongside this Rell, giving a lot of kill pressure towards this bottom lane and facilitating Jiejie in a lot of respects as well, because we've seen that Slumber Storm come into great effect.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you're EDG, you're delighted with the 3 picks you got. These are 3 exceptionally powerful picks, even in the early and late games. So lots they can do it here. And I feel like for RA, you kind of have to pick the Xayah here. You can't really let that one go to the wayside, because you're kind of losing out on all the different S+ carries. And we're just going to see a reverse of the matchup from the game 1. EDG now this time taking the Tristana and Rell, and RA going to take the Xayah and Alistar. We will see which one is the more potent of the bot lanes, or if it's just the matchup.
Yeah, I honestly like the Tristana Rell into the Alistar and the Xayah. Though Alistar obviously great on this patch, I think the push power that Tristana has, plus the added range, just gives her a little bit more flexibility. And I like this from RA though coming into the next ban phase. Like, I look at, hey, you know, this big engage tool in the Rell, you add a Shockwave into the mix, that's going to be absolutely petrifying. So not giving that opportunity to go across towards RA. But I'm curious to see if they do decide instead for a Scout to go towards something like the Lucian or even a Jayce, something that's a bit more AD focused to facilitate that AP mid.
Well, I'm actually I was quite curious actually, because FoFo has been known to pick out those AD assassins as well. So like when you have the Nidalee, you can go for something a little bit more AD heavy. You can go the Lucian yourself. Yone is still very much something you can go for if you're really feeling frisky. And that kind of style of things is where I would like to see RA take this, because I feel like if they're trying to get Cube, you know, ahead again on a tank and you've got an AP jungler, it doesn't really fit well with me, because then again you're kind of putting all the, you know, the eggs into the iBoy basket for your damage in the late game team fights. So we see the Orianna, we see the Syndra this time around banning it away. So again, 2 pretty recognizable Scout picks from this year being taken away, and now we'll see what EDG want a final ban.
I feel like it's FoFo setting up for an Azir pick here, just going towards the last control mage. Now, Azir can do pretty well in towards the Orianna and the Syndra, but it's just a case of like, look, what does Scout look good on? Azir or a Syndra, let's get them off the board.
Let's see what the final ban is now for EDG. They're actually going to ban away the Lucian themselves, so that's 2 times now we've seen the blue side team banning away that flex pick, especially when that AP jungler has been picked up themselves. And then, honestly, RA, I like this. You're picking a leaf from the EDG book. You're kind of saying, cool, we can still flex this Jayce. It can go mid, it can go top. We can still get the better matchup depending on what we see you pick.
And it gives a lot of range, right? You've now got the double poke coming in from the Nidalee, and the Jayce can be very oppressive when you're trying to set up for these team fights. So now EDG are kind of caught into where they have to double down on the engage and making sure that they can set themselves up in team fights, because otherwise you run into a situation where RA just play it safe, sit back and poke you down all the live long day.
It's kind of hoping for a Scion purely for the fact that I want to see someone in LPL play Darius. I just want to see it. I want to see if it's like as busted of a counter as we all think it is. We see now EDG, they might just flex that Tristana towards the mid lane if they're feeling so strongly about it. They got a couple of seconds left before they lock in their final pick here. And for Scout, I would prefer to see him on something like a Victor, but no, Tristana, they're going for that early pressure, the early kind of roaming, and also the early turret pushing.
It will be answered, like the early lane pressure will be answered quite a bit by the Jayce in the kind of the level 1 to 3, but certainly as you start to ramp up with the E, you get a lot of damage coming in onto those minions from the Tristana. So I think Scout will have quite a lot of pressure in towards something like a Jayce, which is why I was about to say I think you end up swapping this up. RA potentially going towards a Zoe would leave them with a hell of a lot of poke and a hell of a lot of range, but quite vulnerable if you're able to get these engages or this terror pushing going from EDG. So I like this from RA moving back towards the Ryze, gives them a little bit of a 1-3-1 option, gives them good engage opportunities for Hong in these team fights as well, and the flexibility of just being able to push hard as this Ryze in the mid and keeping Scout in control on this Tristana.
Yep, and the Ryze, of course, gives you a little bit more of kind of, you know, the mid-game to late-game wave clear as well. He's very, very strong. If you've seen many, many times where just like, you know, 1-2, delete the minions now, thank you very much. Not saying that Zoe wouldn't have, but it kind of gives you a lot more options when you're not fully committed to the poke, because if your poke composition doesn't work and you've no way of split pushing or engaging, that's when you kind of have a little bit of a problem. So for RA, this could be your final game of the regular split to cement you into 7th place, and for EDG, they're second either way, and it's going to push them forward.
Yeah, I think the RA here, they're really trying to get themselves up. I mean, 6th place on the line for these guys. It would mean the world to move in towards that round, the 1 round higher, so you don't have that extra best of 5 to play. But EDG playing for pride here. 2nd place already cemented for them. They cannot catch RNG after the win against LGD earlier on today, but certainly EDG still looking on form, still looking good after the game 1 of the series.
EDG looking to try and get the 2-0, RA looking to bounce back and send us to a game 3 for that elusive 6th spot. And we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Here we are, possibly the last game of the regular split. We'll wait for the Jayos to go off before we really do deep dive into this one, because RA, they have to win this if they want to try and keep that 6th place alive.
That's the dream here for RA, and in the grand scheme of things, I think they're pretty happy with the way that the composition... Excuse me, I don't know about Jayos.
There's a couple of people on that last one there. They were like, no, it's my turn.
Still going. Well, there we go.
They have their moments.
But yeah, look, I think coming into this, the one that's curious to me is Flandre opting into the counter matchup here in the top side. Like, he knew that the Jayce was locked in and ended up going for the Gnar. So it says to me that they're just kind of like, look, we want to make sure we've got this strong front line. And certainly Jiejie would need to try and facilitate this top lane a little bit, because otherwise Cube can push in that lane, start to chip down that structure. And if you end up in a situation where like Cube is very far ahead and he can play in a side lane, same when you look towards FoFo, it can be actually a little bit difficult for EDG to find the team fights that they're looking for. But in the grand scheme of things, from the jungle down, EDG are happy, like pushing mid, control of that bot side as well. They should be able to look towards these early dragons as an objective to keep RA interested in actually team fighting.
See how this bot lane does end up going out. So we are not going to see the mirror matchup. The Tristana Rell is going to be the Xayah Rell. So not as much explosive power as you would have with the Tristana, but nevertheless, they're still going to go for a lot of feathers down here. As iBoy gets ignited, he has to cleanse straight away. They flash forward. He has to flash away. It's a burning of summoners pretty much across the board. The only thing left up is the ignite for Hong and the flash for Meiko.
Big mistake from iBoy, though. Like, not respecting that Meiko was able to get that engage. And yeah, you get the flash and the heal out of Viper, but this is full control, and especially where the wave is positioned, like pushing back in towards Viper, they're going to slowly keep this one in play and make sure that they are able to run away with this bot side, doubling down on already a winning lane.
Yeah. Kind of cast or cursed it a little bit by saying it's not explosive, and lo and behold, as I said it, it decided to pop off a little bit. But again, this is again showing, you know, kind of the Meiko and Viper kind of combination just growing with every single series, every single game. They seem to be getting a little bit better, a little bit more in sync with each other, and that's such a terrifying prospect coming into playoffs, because honestly, EDG, they feel like they should be the #1 team, especially when we look at kind of RNG, kind of, you know, in the most recent games. It feels like EDG are the ones that are kind of riding that momentum alongside top esports.
I feel like I've got Lyric and Munch in like the back of my head go, no, top esports. It's just like, but still, I think EDG certainly had their moments where we could see the cracks begin to form. Now, although they're looking great at the moment against Array, it does seem to be against our super top teams that they struggle. Now, in this game, I like what we're already seeing. You can see Jiejie hasn't bait on towards that top side, managed to steal away a little bit for himself, and he's now shadowing here with Scout, who can hop over this wall as Leyan. I don't know if he spotted him.
He doesn't. That's actually such a smart move. He doesn't know that JJ's here. Now JJ can really capitalize on this and put the hurt down. I love that play from JJ. It just really kind of sets himself up. But as I say, that flash forward, and now Leyan has nowhere to go, but they're going to try and keep this one going. Scout gets the reset on the rocket jump, though. They try to keep him down. One more attack! Oh, he does get first blood. Ends up being traded 1-for-1. I liked the play until I didn't like the play, and then everything just kind of collapsed upon itself.
That went a little bit messy real quick. And honestly, it was a surprise to me that JJ didn't try and juke that spear, because I felt like if he'd actually avoided that, that's a big win, right? You end up getting a lot of pressure towards Leyan. And once I saw the spear land, I was like, that's a lot of damage. Electrocute on towards this Nidalee as well. You have to respect that burst damage. And JJ doesn't go down. Scout will pay for it though, and we'll get a replay nice and quick here. As you said, like, I like this from JJ, but once Leyan starts to walk away, you back off. You take the camp, you move away. Scout, not here to support it, but with JJ tanking it was a bait. They're like, look, we know Leyan is going to come in onto the top of this, which is why JJ flashed so quickly, but Scout then going that bit too far forward. Will get the kill, but only just about.
Oh, they almost were able to play it. I think Leyan just steps out of the bush ever so slightly there, and it forces the ward to come down from EDG to really kind of secure that kill. It was very, very tight either side, and you're going to be relatively happy if you're on the side of EDG because you don't really lose a huge amount. This is something we actually never really got to talk about coming into this particular matchup, is that with Leyan and with the the Ryze and the Nidalee, it's actually very, very easy to set up that kind of rune prison into spear, so you can put down a lot of hurt, but good response here from EDG. Yeah,
and you can see, look, Meiko's moved up now as well. They really want to try and force Leyan out, and this is the power that you can get when you've got Scout on this Tristana in mid. A lot of push power with very little mana invested, whereas FoFo has to use so much mana to keep the push back, as Scout now getting the ban.
Oh, FoFo, he gets jumped on straight away. He has flash, but where are you going to go, my friend? Meiko forced the flash away. He was going to take a little bit too many tower hits. They get exactly what they want, and that's what I call a tilt-to-port.
That is definitely one. I mean, he just comes back into lane. He's already behind Hung now, trying to see if they can answer with Leyan towards this mid lane, but they've already stepped away. EDG, nice job to get this ball rolling for a Scout, and this is the game plan that we see so often from JJ and Scout. Like, let's power through a nice, strong mid lane, whether it's something like an Azir or the Tristana in this case. Get ourselves a lead, move that down towards the bottom lane, move that in towards these river skirmishes, and set ourselves up. Now, Array looking to start this dragon up as they know Scout is in base, so we'll actually manage to get this before you can really get a response from EDG.
Yeah, should be a nice little capitalization, knowing, as you said, the recall timers, knowing who's on the map, who's not on the map. They know as well that there's a little bit of a freeze happening here for Viper. He's getting a slow push set up for himself, and they can just capitalize on it.
But we will get some capitalization from EDG as well, right? Because, as you said, slow push happening in this bottom side for Viper. You're looking at the 7-minute mark. They can look to reset towards this Rift Herald. Vision control already going down for JJ in this top side. They even look for a play on towards Cube, who has no idea that this has happened. JJ uses the blast cone to avoid that ward.
We'll say, though, he should notice now that Scout is no longer in this lane. Now they know that Nidalee is here as well, so Leyan is very acutely aware there is somebody here. They're not going to land the Swirl Seed just yet. Leyan should be able to get himself out alive. And now you got to be a little careful of your EDG. You're kind of in no man's land. They still have the push in the top side, though, so they should not get collapsed upon just yet.
No, that's a nice move from Leyan to keep him safe. FoFo moving as well, but there we go.
Yeah, jumping straight on top of it. Hong forced to flash away, but they have enough damage with the feathers going flying. Not quite, doesn't matter. Viper has got himself the flash to finish off that kill. iBoy gets hit by absolutely none of the feathers as they come flying backwards, but that is another 2v2 kill in favor of EDG in this bot lane.
And this is it. I mean, Viper and Meiko, they said, hey, look, when iBoy and Hong have the advantage, cool. They look great. They go and play aggressive. This time around, though, Viper and Meiko are the ones in control, and they are dictating the pace of this lane 20 CS advantage, tower plates going their way, kills going their way, and Viper is going to be huge coming into these games.
And again, we're just seeing EDG. They're kind of saying, look, we're making other moves around there, but why we are so excited for this roster is, like, you know, as we can see, I'll stop myself a little bit now, as we can see now FoFo maybe trying to jump onto Scout, but very difficult. He's yet to use the rocket jump. No one really kind of goes for it. But again, look, just back to my point before we get even more action, you can see there's just quality across the board.
Yeah, and look, I love this from Meiko. This is the power of this Rell. So much damage in these fights. Unfortunate there for Viper, just doesn't quite have enough damage. I was also looking to see where he was going to maneuver. Could have possibly pulled over to the right. Right as those feathers have come through to finish off iBoy as well, but they'll be happy with that singular kill. Jiejie now using the fact that he's got control in this top side and also in mid thanks to Scout to pick up an easy Rift Herald for themselves.
Yeah, strength to strength to strength. We can see
Leyan.
Hong now in enemy territory is going to find Meiko. Not quite going to hit the spear, though. Does have to headbutt the horse lady away and back themselves up into this lane. So this wave will just crash in. They will have to clear that one out, and the wave is back in a equal state.
Where's the answer, though, right? Because Jiejie, we know he's up here with Rift Herald on this top side. Looks like he's going to try and move in towards mid and bounce off the fact that Scout has so much control to pop down the Rift Herald and then potentially try and move down towards this bottom side. But it looks like Scout wants to just actually start to get some control over River and set up for these bot side plays.
Finally now for Hong, he gets himself his Unbreakable Will, so he's a little bit more survivability if he does decide to go for those big fights. But you can see already there's a level discrepancy between iBoy and Viper, and Xayah is one of those kind of AD carries that with gold and with levels, she becomes incredibly powerful. You cannot let her run wild. As I say that, FoFo gets jumped straight in on top of by Scout, who's using this Tristana to such a great effect. And again, this is kind of the power that this pick has. You can pick it, people think you're going towards the bot side with it, you can do a bit of a switcheroo, put it into mid because you have options.
And I love how Scout is using it, where even though he's not always moving that down into or up or down into the side lanes every time he gets the advantage, he is using it to get vision control. He is using it to just create dark spots on the map for RA so they can't spot where Scout is going. Now, Rift Herald going down in mid because Jiejie and Meiko were able to move, and that will go down in mid lane. Like, this will be the tower done.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not
okay.
quite. It baited and outsmarted you a little bit. But, like, look, one explosive bomb on top of that and a couple of auto attacks, it shouldn't be too hard. And you can see just how often Scout is just able to push in that wave, be able to be in a position to be able to kind of, you know, teeter it down. Because, yes, Ryze is a menace in the late game, but right now, he struggles.
Ooh, Leyan.
They're going to jump straight into Leyan. Hong going to use the headbutt, but they're going to jump straight in on top of Scout. It could be a little bit of a risky move here for him as Leyan tries to get himself out. Flash forward, and the kill to be secured. Now it's a 3v3, but now it's a 2v3 because Scout has gone out. Never mind. Viper is here, and the TP is going to be used to get him out into the mid lane. EDG get the kill, they get out, and they get everything else.
That was kind of clean from Scout. I was actually a bit worried when he saw he didn't have that explosive charge, but when he did get it up, manages to just eke out Leyan's kill, hops over the wall, and then the nice LTP, knowing that there was no one really there to follow over the wall. So nice job here, and again, this is just really well played by EDG. Pressure on bot side, pressure on this mid lane. They use that to invade onto Leyan. And this is gorgeous. I love seeing this from EDG, and this is something that, you know, when we were talking about LGD in our last series and how you can play around your lane pressure, use it to go for invades or go for objectives. This is what I meant, and this is why EDG are looking so good in the LPL right now.
Yep, 2,500 gold lead, or just a little bit under it. You can see Flandre with this Gnar pick, and yes, he's into the Jayce. He's actually ahead on CS. The Dragon stacks will go over in favor of RA, but the gold is still very much there. And that being said, though, there is Mega Gnar available, but only for a couple more seconds. They need to be very, very careful if they want to try and take this fight. As I say that, they find themselves Cube, and Cube is dead. He TP'd into the middle of death. iBoy will take himself a Rell Morph and get himself out. Hong almost falls down. The boomerang to the butt cheeks knocks him over and turns him into hamburgers. This game is looking very, very scary right now. EDG have got everything.
And this is the EDG that I've loved watching. How well they snowball these leads. 6-1 now. 4,000 gold lead already picked up for themselves. They'll start to stack and rack these dragons, and it's so hard to try and deal with. Like, the win condition for RA that we talked about, like potentially playing Cube to get ahead, played for himself. Flandre's done a really good job of keeping himself safe in that top lane. Leyan has been pushed and prodded and been invaded on every step of the way in this game, and he has had no impact.
Yeah, let's have a look at this fight right now. You can see that the TP is it's just a bad call from Cube to go in on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had to try and TP to somewhere. He thought that maybe moving in towards that ward that was at beside the blue buff would have been a bit dangerous because of the positioning from Flandre, and turned out the other one was just as bad. So all a bit messy across the board here from Oray, and Flandre now sitting on top side with Jiejie in the wings.
Oh no, he's already used the To the Skies, and they're going to have the Lilting Lullaby to come down on top of it, so nowhere for you to go. Even Scout's just there for extra insurance, and Leyan just has to watch on as his top laner dies. But these are, I just wanted to mention like very, very quickly just before we came into this, actually I might have to stop myself as Hong is behind enemy lines. They may look to try and go for something here. Xayah is around to the top side. She will be able to run over with her semi-global. But no, Hong backs away. But what was so impressive about that last little play there from EDG is that they don't just get a dragon and a team fight. They get a dragon, they get a team fight, they get mid turret, they get red buff, they get pressure in the bot, and they get pressure in the mid. They just made like so many advantages from one mistake from the side of RA. So that's what really does impress me. And look at this, we're at a 5,000, 5,500 gold lead.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, I love watching EDG and how they snowball these leads. Like, there's a few teams in the LPL that are really, really good at it, and EDG is certainly one of them. That's why we've seen like incredibly short games out of these guys. Like, you're looking 23, 24 minutes just because of this ability to snowball out of control. Now you can see right. Bot lane already taken very low, mid lane is gone. Let's just rotate Viper up towards his top side. Abuse the fact he already has that Gale Force completed thanks to the 2 kills and the 20 CS he has. And Cube, he can't stick around right now. Yes, he has flash, but if you end up with Jiejie on this top side, that'll be a very dead top laner for RA.
They are trying to just trade across the map, so now recognizing that the very fed bot lane are top, then they're going to throw towards the bot side, but you can see the mini-map, they're actually looking for a fight.
They are looking for it. Leyan will take a little bit of damage here, but honestly, from EDG, you just need to back away from this because you've got the win on the top side. You're looking towards the bot lane play is going to answer for the turret, yes, but Rift Herald has been started by Jiejie. So you win just in the terms of the objectives being picked up across the board.
Viper does need to be a little careful. Cube has got enough damage with that Eclipse to take him down should he choose to do, but with Jiejie now showing on a ward, they now know that it's not quite safe here for the Jayce in the top side. However, Viper still taking a lot of punishment here. Still need to be respectful of what's going down from the RA top laner.
Yeah, they're fine. They just wanted to make sure they shove that in. They're going to look to reset now. Rift Herald's still in their back pockets. They can look to actually crack open tier 2s in mid. And if that tier 2 in mid goes down, it's really hard for RA to try and hold on because you're going to need Cube off in a side lane, FoFo off in a side lane, but you've many flank positions that EDG can whittle or wander their way through in these jungles to get on towards these solo laners that are going to be very vulnerable.
We'll take stock. 16.5 minutes into the game, you can start to see a couple of items being picked up pretty much for everybody on the side of EDG. But for RA, they're really just relying on the Night Harvester and, of course, the Eclipse here for Cube. And as I say that, Cube gonna get Lilting Lullaby down. And look at the minimap, everybody's just converging in. Cube realizes he has to go in order to try and survive. Gets a nice little bit of damage down onto Jiejie. And there's the Rell Morph. They're going to jump straight in on top of him. He actually goes to it before it goes to him. But now EDG are a little bit caught between two minds. They don't really know where they want to go with this. Cube has to back away, but he is shot down by Scout. They trade support for top laner, and Viper's just pushing in the mid.
And bot as well. So you get this bot tower. Viper will get mid tower. And yes, you'll trade for a tier 1 in top, but it isn't really worth in the grand scheme of things. Actually, to be honest, RA haven't even backed. It looks like they're trying to pick off Scout as he goes. They're trying to bluff the fact that they've recalled.
Trying to bluff it a little bit. They lose 2 towers in favor of 1. It was a 1-for-1 trade. And again, this gold lead just kind of seeps a little bit forward, seeps another little bit forward. It's just really difficult for RA to make something happen, to make something stick.
But they're trying to find a pick now. They've abandoned Dragon. They really want to try and get onto Scout, but it's so hard. I mean, Flash is down, yes, but Meiko's here, still has that rocket jump.
Oh, they're going to try and go for it, but there is the crash down. Pheromancy has been used. Meiko should be a little bit slower, but here comes Viper. They get a TP on the top of the map as well. You can see the pings going down. Thank you, Mr. Observer. And there's Viper just stopping everything from happening. Oh! What a move! Flashing to get the feathers to fly back, and this is why we love EDG. 2 quick kills, and Viper, that was sick.
That was so nice. The flash and the Gale Force Force for the reposition, completely bamboozling Hung in the midst of that play as well. God, I love watching this guy.
God damn it. It's such an incredible talent. Like, and the fact that we have him here and like, you know, like the LPL has not had amazing AD carries for a little while. We had Uzi for a while, obviously. Jackie Love's still Jackie Love, but we were kind of faltering. But this is what I want to see from AD carries.
Yeah, I mean, look, already you get the Featherstorm to dodge Hung, the Flash and the Gale Force to reposition onto Leyan. That is beautiful. And you could even see Hung that entire time is like, what has happened? Where did he go?
You know when you when you wave at someone because you think they're waving at you and they realize they're waving to someone else. That's what Hung had to do. He just keep going, just like I can't stop. I'm too embarrassed by what just happened because I thought I was the target. Turns out I wasn't even. So Viper is just honestly insane, and like he's on 2 items. iBoy is yet to finish an item. That's how horrible this situation is. You can see there the lilting lullaby is just going to be enough.
They got him.
They got him just about, but the distance with the Realm Warp does keep him going just ahead.
I'm not sure how that one operated.
The Realm Warp just went off before
no,
the
but FoFo got slept. Leyan didn't. I thought both had got hit by it.
No,
but
just
okay.
FoFo.
Okay.
Just FoFo. Just able to get on top of FoFo. They will drop the Rift Herald in the middle of Baron Pit and say, look, go back to your home. You need to be free again. But it's basically, it was timing out. They needed to try and drop it somewhere. But they are picking towards that top side. And you can see here, EDG just waiting to kind of push in towards that Baron, maybe even look for anything else.
Don't you ruin EDG. EDG are being very eco-friendly here. Environmental awareness, folks, big issue. We need to make sure
release them back into the wild.
Exactly.
I was wondering where
Bring
you were
them
going
to their
with
habitat. But there we go, EDG. It looks like, you know, little bit of a relationship has formed with Shelly as she will wander towards the ends of the earth with EDG, which is pretty much towards this top lane turret.
Ultimate move here is to try and get the inhibitor cracked open. It looks like, honestly, they should be able to do it. They'll get a full charge off. Tower goes down, and they've cracked open the base at 20 minutes and 30 seconds. They don't even need Scout with them right now. Scout has a teleport to join whenever the hell he likes, and he is able to split push wherever he wants to go. You are now looking at just 6 towers to 2. 8,000 gold lead, or just a little bit under it. You're looking at a dragon lead. Fair enough. The only silver lining to that for RA is that it's a Cloud Soul, not the most impactful in the world. But now you can start up this Baron. There is a ward that spots this one out. And for RA, do you look to try and take this fight? I think you kind of have to.
Well, Flandre's just gone mini, so this is where EDG do actually need to pull off. Nobody really tanky enough to take this Baron either, but Hung.
Oh, Hung caught between a rock and a metal place as he gets taken down. They will say Jiejie go very low, but goes into stasis to keep himself alive. Viper feeling confident, goes forward with the Gale Force. Now, do you have enough in the tank here from RA to try and kite this one out? Viper doing exceptionally well to just keep everybody away from him. Scout, though, gets assassinated by Leyan. And we can see Viper, though, flashing forward. 1-2, Uniflu. Viper comes up clutch again.
I love how he just thinks about these team fights. Able to get, obviously, the ultimate going one way, manages to position himself perfectly, get the feathers coming from the other direction. 2-for-1 special for the bird, and now the Baron will be the reward.
Sorry, I took a drink of water just as you ended your conversation. I took a massive gulp, so I couldn't have anything to say. Well, let's have a look at this fight. Kind of goes like, it looks like they catch Hung, but it kind of goes on a little bit too long for EDG.
Well, I mean, Hung does the right thing of going for the engage, but like, unfortunately, RA just aren't in the position. And at this stage, like, Viper playing perfectly on the edge of everything here. Like, he's basically using Flandre as cover, right? Where he's stepping in behind Cube, Brightest, these accelerated shock blasts are coming out. And then this play here gets the feathers set up to get the kill onto FoFo and repositions perfectly to get the double kill on the way out. And Jiejie just coming in to make sure no shenanigans happen, but we're back into scraps.
Speaking of shenanigans, we are going to see Hung disappear and then reappear. Meiko takes a spear to the backside as they just say, look, back up, minute till dragon. Get your see you there. We'll try something then. It's 10,000 gold lead, Dagda. It's looking hard, but I like this from RA. They're not giving up. They're going with their, you know what I said, what book. They don't need to know what book if they can just eliminate Scout. That's a key pick for them. Now, they'll need about 10 more of those, but that's still a good start.
Yeah, the problem for them, though, is that, as you said, like Cloud Dragon, it's not like the Dragon is a big thing. Now, yes, they do get a Baron buff off of a potential split pusher, but they need it way more. Now, EDG still positioning here. Don't realize where Hung is. Could go for a Hex Flash over the wall. Now will be spotted. He's in no man's man's land.
He is in no man's land. They jump onto Viper, but there's no follow-up, so Viper doesn't need to expend anything. His flash, his ultimate, nothing. He is 100% safe to completely take up that combo and move back forward. So now we're looking back at a 4v4 this Dragon.
And that's the big engage tool. Now EDG going to see if they can get Flandre to go in with the Mega Gnar, but I realize they got to run for the hills.
They have to walk away. Flandre is so tempted to try and go in, and that flashes in, but then burns 2 off of his own. They actually go straight in on top of Jiejie, and he has to go golden to keep himself alive. Meiko is able to get the crash down to separate this fight, and again, Viper is hunting you down, iBoy, and he will take you down. 2 kills. Now 9-0-1 on this Xayah. You've got a minute left on this Baron. You just end the game.
Leyan's like, look, I'm just going to take red. I got nothing else to do here. EDG are about to try and end through topside. Leyan now finds more company than just the Red Bull.
Yep, finds himself flashing over the wall, but instantly flashed in on top of him again. Scout picks up his 4th kill of the game. Viper was about half his health then, but went up towards the minions, was able to sustain off of those. Viper doesn't need any more kills. Viper is playing the LCK
I am
way.
the EDG.
I am the EDG. That is a very niche Father Ted reference if you're going to go for it. But they will not be able to end the game, as the only one who tried to end the game was Viper. The LCK way, if you will.
Look, EDG will still get Dragon. They got a lot of gold, as you can see, 4,000 gold off of this Baron, but like, they're in great shape. The next turn not going down does kind of suck a little bit for them. It would have been great, but now you've got super minions pouring in on both sides. They can just group as 5, push in this bot lane, and cause major issues for RA, who just can't deal with the amount of pressure on the map right now.
Before we have our next fight, I don't think there's really much more to analyze. Viper's a god, and I think that's just a fair thing to say. Scout's still playing very, very well, and the rest of EDG are facilitating the Viper carry right now. But who, if anyone, do you feel is a counter or a kind of kryptonite to what EDG tried to do? Because we kind of talk about it a little bit, but like EDG, they look so damn good. Who would be able to kind of contest them in the playoffs?
I think definitely there's I mean, top esports certainly a team that can, because I think EDG, yes, Viper and Meiko look good. I think that Scout can look great as well, but trying to match the skirmishes of top esports can be really, really tough. I think as well, RNG have shown that they can do very well against this squad as well, where they are able to very quickly play through this top side of the map. But honestly, Foray, not going to be the team that does.
Oh, they're going to go for a little bit of a cheeky play. Jump straight onto Viper, who has to let the feathers fly, and now this fight's kind of started, but Hong hasn't got the health bar to relax himself and keep himself going. Never mind, it wasn't a fun time for anyone on RA. They will be getting 4 people killed straight off the bat. The only one left is FoFo, and he has nowhere to hide, nowhere to go. This will be the final game of the regular split, and it will be EDG 2-0 over RA.
Confident win from ED, upper echelons of the LPL.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see now. I'll have to check the game difference. Hysterics always keeps me on my damn toes. And he did send a message about something about Suning might be going to 7th, as RA have a slightly worse game difference. I will have to triple check that one. So we will try get a graphic build for you guys that can show you absolutely everything. Of course, we have to wait until these things happen, and then we can build. That's the problem, I suppose, when we come into the day. But EDG, the last 2 series, what else can you say? Like, they honestly came in, and I think Viper really is putting himself down. Like, it's going to be so hard for the the Chinese casters and the Chinese analysts to decide who is the ADC All-Pro. You've got Jackie Love and you got Viper. We had this discussion, a piece of content that might be coming out very, very shortly, but not today. I don't know, actually, maybe. I don't know the publishing schedule, but like that is a conversation that we've had multiple times, but they both do 2 different things really well.
Yeah, and it's a very, very difficult one, but when you see Viper doing performances like that, just nasty things to his opponents.
C'est magnifique.
Yeah. it's dirty, to be honest. I think honestly, it's hard to not talk about him in that conversation, or maybe even put him ahead of Jackie Love. Like, every time, like, I was on the Jackie Love side, and every time I keep seeing this guy play, like, that's just so beautiful to watch.
It is. It really, really is. But like, again, it always kind of props up into conversation of just like, depends on what you value, it depends on what kind of style you're going for. I will say, just in pure mechanics and knowledge about the game, Viper is up there, but you know, that's we'll leave that discussion for when you watch the content that we might be bringing out very soon. I just don't want to ruin
tease,
anything.
hint, hint.
Tease, hint, hint. Keep an eye out for LPL English on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff. But again, for RA, it's disorganized chaos and, you know, trying to see if they can get something, you know, again, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. Never really sticks for this particular one, and that's where we kind of like drop our expectations, if you will, of this team, because yes, against lower caliber teams it has worked, but against someone like EDG, top esports, etc., it just feels like it's never going to work.
And I had some questions coming off the draft, like the high priority on the Nidalee here, when you already saw the Lillia on the opposite side. I feel like if you'd taken the Tristana for yourself, you set up for a super strong bot, you can go towards this Jayce top side for Cube, and this draft looks really, really strong for RA, but unfortunately with the smart call here from EDG to flex this Tristana to mid, getting the counter pick in the Xayah over the Jayce on the bot side of the map as well, just the winning bot was too hot for RA to handle, and EDG punished super expertly, where they're moving in, getting invades on, they're killing Leyan, they're making it very difficult for this Nidalee to have any sort of impact. And then what should have been a winning matchup for RA in that top side just never got the attention it deserved. And then EDG are just able to power through in these team fights.
iBoy did 5,000 damage. Yeah. iBoy wasn't even close to being relevant in that game. And like, it feels terrible to say that, because iBoy was obviously, like, you think of some of the best plays in LPL history. iBoy is around those kind of things, in terms of the league anyway. Like, you know, obviously Worlds is a very different story, but or even international competition. But for something like that, for something like, you know, some caliber of player to be just outshone in so many different areas of the game just shows you how much better Viper is comparatively to what we probably expected it. I won't lie, when Viper was kind of announced for this, I wasn't super hyped for it. I thought he was good. I thought he was kind of decent. I thought, you know, definitely better than aiming, but maybe like, you know, whatever, Jackie Love's still Jackie Love, but he's just gone strength to strength to strength to strength. And the team around EDG have worked with it. Team, you know, the team play, everyone's kind of improved bit by bit by bit. And honestly, for me, it does feel like if they can just kind of smooth out those small little edges against the top teams, this is the team going to MSI. But again, it's so tight at the top.
Yeah, and I do want to hit on to your point of like Viper kind of growth, because big shout out to Ashley Kang, who does some interviews of her, the LCK guys. Yeah, she was talking to Viper, and she's kind of come on and said, or she's chatting to her, and she was saying that like Viper takes a lot of pride in kind of the pentakill that he got at Worlds, how he looked so good in the 2018 when he went with Griffin, and then that slow deterioration over the next 2 years really hit hard for him. So to see him back as well is absolutely fantastic, to see him back on form, performing as well as he is, and then just to see the pride that this guy takes in his gameplay and also stepping up for his team is amazing. And as you can see, like the moves on this guy is insane.
And I think that's the difference as well. Like, you look at kind of like Jackie Love, he's very confident, I suppose is the word. He has no problem telling people who he is, where he's going, and kind of what he's going to do. But for Viper, even in the kind of pre-game interview we saw just before we went into game 2, very respectful, understands that some of these guys, like, he's like, look, I'm not underestimating anybody. I'm just going in to play the best League of Legends I possibly can. And when he's playing like that so damn consistently, it's just a joy to watch. It really has been a joy. And it's been a massive kind of, again, can't understate how big of an importance it has been for EDG kind of resurging, coming back up, reviving themselves as one of those kind of LPL gods that we had for so many years.
Yeah, and as we said, like, I mean, we're starting to get that trickle effect back in from RNG, EDG, and now we got the new gods as well, like top esports, JDG taking that 3rd and 4th place slot. Like, this now is like the new battle of a new age, because in 2020, it was all top esports, JDG. You go back in the chronicles of LPL history, a lot of EDG and a lot of RNG, and finally we're starting to see that shift, but also that battle for that shift coming back into play.
That's it. It's literally, as you say, it's a continental shift as such. It's like, is it still the new guard? Is it top esports JDG that we need to be talking about in the context of the best of the LPL, or RNG and EDG back? That's the kind of conversation that we love to have kind of coming into these playoffs, because even then, we haven't even mentioned teams like Suning, IAG, like these guys. WE had a great start. Yes, they faltered a little bit. I do have a little bit of faith in them to say that they can bounce back. I'm a little bit of Beishang apologist. I do love how he plays. But you know, Medjai's Soul Stealer Udyr will always have a special place in my heart, but consistently as well. It wasn't just once, it was twice. but that's the thing. Like, these are the kind of, like, questions and times that I'm loving about coming into the LPL and coming into specifically this split, because everything's on the board. We could just see Suning turn it on again like they did in summer 2020 and they just run through the playoffs. It's like, oh, cool, they're a big team. We could see IG do what they always do and have a great playoffs run. The Xayah and the rookie could pop themselves back and get themselves back to the levels that we expect from them. And then that's not even, again, touching on all the top 4, top 5 teams. FBX, I haven't even mentioned. Like, they got TN back. It's honestly going to be so difficult to really kind of decide who it is. It's no longer just a G2 and everybody else, or last year JDG Top Esports and everybody else. It's a plethora of different teams, and if they get their kind of gears moving, it should be such a fun time.
Yeah, I still do think, though, there is that, like, top 4 spot. I still do think that, like, there is, you know, Orangey, EDG, Top Esports, JDG, and then there is a gap between the others. We saw, like, EDG dismantle WE as of late. Only, like, literally 2 series, or, well, not this series, the last series for EDG. You look towards some of the other teams that are there as well. Suning just haven't, as you said, really stepped up. IG as well, really struggling right now, despite what I'd argue is better pieces together on IG right now. So I think certainly when we talk about, hey, yes, there are these teams that are that have the potential to make the plays work, I'm still looking at these top 4 and going, damn, like, if these are, like, right now, I know it's MSI, a long way from Worlds, but if these are our 4 representative for World, god damn, we're taking over.
We are. I was thinking about going into the song there for Worlds 2020. I was thinking about it. Very small part of me was like, do it. But I was like, no one needs their eardrums popped. But we are going to, of course, give more and more praise to our MVP. It's Viper. It was always going to be Viper. It's never not going to be Viper when he's playing this damn good. 10-0-4. Yeah. Honestly. What else is to be said? We've already said it all.
It's just ridiculous to me that I know what clips are coming up, and this looks like a montage of Viper's best plays, not just another series.
A game.
Yes. Yeah. It's just insane.
That's the crazy thing. You do our top 5 plays of the week for all the regular season, and we mentioned it in a previous on the Wednesday game with EDG and WE, where it's like, you struggle to not put Viper in for at minimum 2 plays. It's
what
like,
are we going to do this week? It's just going to be like, no, at least with the other ones, it was like they were different games and different champions. It was like, his Kai'Sa or his Xayah, I could, like, mix it up. Now it's just like, no, it's the same game, and it's the same champion, and it's just like, I don't know what to do right now.
Now I just feel like I'm just kind of like smacking down onto RA, but we'll leave that for the time being. Of course, we can shout our praises to Viper endlessly for hours, but we're going to send it over to Wendy, who is talking to the victorious Jiejie for EDG.